You know that feeling when you're talking to someone and they just get it because they've actually been there? That's what we're diving into today. A kind of support that's all about that simple, powerful human connection. So let's get into it.
Wow, this quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? It's not some expert telling you what to do. It's about that shared journey, that feeling of, oh, thank goodness, I'm not the only one. And that, right there, is the entire foundation of peer support.
All right, so let's put a name to this. What exactly is peer support? Let's break down what that really means.
Okay, so here's the official definition. But really, what it boils down to is this: people helping each other because they share a common experience. And it's not just, feeling sorry for someone. That's sympathy. This is true empathy, the kind that comes from having literally walked in similar shoes, whether we're talking about mental health, substance use, or any other major life challenge.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see how different this is from the more, let's say, traditional clinical models. Peer support just completely flips the script. So instead of zeroing in on an illness or a diagnosis, the focus shifts to health, to wellness, to recovery. It gets rid of that potential power imbalance you sometimes see, and instead builds a relationship where both people are on equal footing.
Okay, so if it's not a clinical thing, what's the foundation? What holds it all together? Well, it turns out it's all built on a really solid set of core values. And these aren't just suggestions, they guide every single thing a peer supporter does.
Yep, 7 core values. And think of these as the absolute bedrock of the whole thing. These aren't just, corporate buzzwords you'd find on a pamphlet. They're the real active ingredients that make it all work. They're what guarantees the support is safe, that it's genuine, and that it's actually empowering. So let's take a look at what they are.
All right, first up, hope and recovery. This is huge. It's the core belief that people absolutely can and do get better. Then you've got self-determination, which is such a big deal. It means you trust that the person you're supporting is the #1 expert on their own life, period. Then, of course, a focus on health and wellness, looking at the whole person, not just a label. And finally, you see that idea again, empathic and equal relationships. That's the safe space where all this other good stuff can actually happen.
And it doesn't stop there. We also have dignity, respect, and social inclusion. I mean, this is fundamental, right? Treating every single person with worth. That's backed up by integrity, authenticity, and trust. Basically, the relationship has to be real, it has to be honest, it has to be reliable. And I love this last one, lifelong learning. It's this recognition that everyone's a work in progress. Both the supporter and the person being supported are learning and growing together.
So again, these values aren't just nice ideas to hang on a wall. They're built directly into a practical framework that shows peer supporters how to do the work. It's a real roadmap from value to action. Let me show you what I mean.
Okay, this is a perfect example. You take a value like dignity and respect, which can feel a little abstract, right? And you see what it looks like in real life. The peer support worker doesn't express disapproval. It's that simple and that powerful. It's about creating a judgment-free zone where someone can just be themselves.
So those values then get baked into these principles of practice. A supporter's job isn't to fix anybody, it's to empower them. They learn to share their own story, but in a way that sparks hope, not to steal the spotlight. And, this is so important, they maintain boundaries, they take care of themselves, and they know their limits. They know when it's time to help someone find other resources.
And that brings us to the code of conduct. Think of this as the hard and fast rules, the absolute non-negotiables. Because this isn't just a casual friendship, right? It's a professional, supportive relationship. And that means things like confidentiality are sacred. It means never, ever taking advantage of that trust for any reason. Not for money, not for personal gain, and definitely not romantically. This code is what keeps everyone safe and keeps the whole system trustworthy.
Okay, so we've got the why, the values, and we've got the how, the principles. But what about the what? Like, what skills do you actually need to be good at this? Well, it's all been broken down into 11 core competencies.
Let's start with the relational skills. This is all about that person-to-person connection. We're talking about building respect from day one, having a genuinely empathetic, non-judgmental vibe, and this is a big one, learning how to truly listen. Not just waiting for your turn to talk, but really hearing someone. It also means choosing your words carefully, using language that focuses on strengths, and knowing how to be a good team player.
Next up, we've got the personal skills. And this is so important. You've heard the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Well, that's exactly what this is about. It's way more than just trying to avoid burnout.
It's about actively practicing self-care, building up your own resilience. It's also about being really self-aware, like knowing your own stuff so it doesn't get in the way, and always, always being committed to your own growth.
And the last bucket of skills is all about thinking and approach. The key here is guiding, not directing. You're not the boss, you're more like a co-pilot, helping someone think through their options and consequences. You're there to be a steady source of hope. You've got to be flexible, because things always change. And most of all, people have to know they can count on you. You have to be dependable.
So, you've got all these amazing values, principles, and skills. But how do you make sure everyone is on the same page? How do you guarantee quality? That's the next logical step, right? And that's where building a real profession with national standards comes into play. Now, here's a really key piece of info. Peer support is technically an unregulated profession, but that's why certification is such a game changer. It's a way to say, hey, this person knows their stuff. It proves they have the skills, it builds trust with everyone involved, and it helps make sure that no matter where you are, you're getting high-quality support. And let me tell you, they don't just hand this certification out. Look at this number, 200. That's the minimum number of hours of actual, hands-on experience you need for full certification from Peer Support Canada. So this isn't about what you read in a book, it's about what you've proven you can do.
And the path to get there is pretty rigorous. You've got your application and references, of course, but then you have to pass a written test on your knowledge and a verbal test where you handle real-life scenarios to show you've got the skills. And at the end, you get a full assessment report.
And this is a super important point, so I want to make sure it's clear. Certification is not a training program. It doesn't teach you how to be a peer supporter. It's an assessment. It's the final stamp of approval that says, yes, you've already done the training, you've got the experience, and you meet the standards. It's the confirmation that you're ready.
So, let's go back to that original idea. We all lean on our peers, right? It's just a natural human instinct. So what happens when we take that instinct and turn it into an art? Well, that's peer support. It takes that raw human impulse and shapes it with values, with principles, with skills. It turns a shared experience into something truly powerful, a professional force for hope and recovery.